if you're comfortable, what's your name?
My name is Lilah.
Lilah, you are out here with a table and you're making string for signs, you said.
Yes.
And your sign says?
Abolish ICE and fascist rule.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing out here. You're basically supporting the protesters and giving supplies and trying to help the movement, it sounds like.
Yeah, originally we were out here to just teach crochet. It's gotten kind of dark though. So
Right.
we kind of transitioned, I think, into just teaching people how to make sign holders. It's really simple.
Yeah.
The goal being, much like the costumes, it's hard to say that someone's being violent when they're doing grandma hobbies, grandma activities.
Right.
We had some knitters out here earlier. We hope to be coming back and continuing, just trying to really emphasize the honest and true optics that Portland is just a weird place full of weird people who aren't violent. And we really do not need the constant supervision of those 3 people up there. We do not need ICE patrolling our streets, looking for people to steal. We do not need more federal troops to try and find crime in a city just like any other city. The people here are living peacefully, and that's all we want to show and try to emphasize to the government that sending federal troops is not necessary. Sending ICE isn't necessary. We should abolish both.
So how long have you been coming out?
I have been coming out for a couple of weeks on and off, but this is my first night coming out with crochet.
Cool. That's definitely different. I was talking to the police across the street and asked if they'd seen any assaults tonight, and they said no, but they said there was one last night. Were you here last night? Do you know anything about that?
I was not here last night.
Got it.
Yeah.
Have you seen any violence since you've been out here, or mostly peace?
Not today, actually. It's been very peaceful today. They've come out a couple of times, but they didn't come out very far. I know there have been arrests recently, and we've definitely seen arrests recently.
Yeah, there was pretty big this weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the other side will say, your side doesn't even know what fascism is. Can you define it, or at least tell us what parts of it you see in ICE and Trump?
The parts of fascism that I see in ICE and Trump are, for example, eliminating due process. In the invasion of the apartment building in Chicago, people were just taken. There was no notification. There were no warrants. They were just grabbed. There was no due process. Many people have reported being taken, and even though they had their identification, they weren't even allowed to show it. They weren't offered their rights in the sense of, like, you have to have officers tell you what you're being arrested for. They have to do that. They're legally required to. Additionally, I mean, we're really not supposed to be using our federal troops on our people in our peaceful cities. Maybe we shouldn't be using the military to start a civil war in our own nation?
Fair.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like maybe you have some nuance to your view, or some people say abolish ICE, we should have, like, no borders. Where do you fall on that?
I think land back. I think definitely abolish ICE. As far as no borders, honestly, I haven't researched that particular tagline very much, but I do stand by land back, which I can imagine would probably also be in the same vicinity as no borders, or at least respecting indigenous borders and returning land to them.
Awesome. So, I was saying, so I do try to talk to both sides and try to understand their perspective. One of the things that both sides seem to agree on is that the residents in the building are being affected by the noise and the chaos, the horns, this stuff. How do you feel about that? Do you empathize with them?
I think it would be really, really, really difficult to be a resident here, especially given the chemicals that they've been using in the area. I went to school for chemistry, and a lot of these chemicals stay in the area for a really long time. They're really bad for the environment, and they're also really bad for people living in the area. CS gas, obviously, one, but there have been reports, I've had several friends be down here, and they started their period the day after. They were extremely nauseous. Different things that lead us to believe they might be using different agents as well. And all of that has definitely impacted the residents. I've seen many videos of the residents begging for the gassing to end at the very least. Another great example of how it's fascism. We shouldn't be gassing our people.
Yeah, I've talked to some of them that says when they're walking down the sidewalk when it's raining, you can just feel it in your eyes because it's coming up off the surfaces still.
Tear gas is actually a crystalline powder, and it can be activated by water. It's pretty stable on its own, so when it touches your skin or the moisture in your eyes, that's when it activates. And it can remain on the ground for 5 days. So if you, for example, get tear gas on your clothing, you're supposed to take it off and keep it in a bag for 5 days so you don't activate it in your washer. So it's really unsurprising that even walking around, if there's any moisture in the air, this whole area would feel like walking through tear gas. I was at the naked bike ride, and when I was in this area, there was a foul smell, and my body was burning because I was covered in water.
So, sorry that happened to you, by the way. Over the weekend, we were talking about it was more rowdy. There was another side here, basically, with American flags and stuff. A lot of the times, both sides are shouting at each other, maybe trolling each other. Have you ever had honest conversations with the other side out here?
Not out here. I try to not engage. I think the times have also changed a lot, but no matter what, at protests, it can be really difficult to have honest and engaging conversation, especially with people who are really determined to be anti-fascist. Like, they're out here in very small numbers, and so you know that they're the most vehement supporters of fascism. And so it's really difficult. It's also just not advisable. We're trying to maintain as much peace as possible and really represent the honest truth that there's not conflict in Portland that needs federal troops to supervise it and mitigate it. So I think most of us try to avoid conflict with them as much as possible.
Awesome. I have maybe a couple more questions for you. Really appreciate you talking to me. Some people say that Antifa is just an idea. Other people say it is an organization. And other people say, you know, I'm Antifa because I'm anti-fascist. Where do you fall on that? What do you believe Antifa is?
I think it's silly I think it benefits the government to say that Antifa is an organized group doing organized things, and they're like this group. Antifa is a theory. It's a concept. It means anti-fascism. It's like punk. You can't say punk is it's a group of people who are like Al-Qaeda. Like, punk is a concept. Punk is a practice. Punk is a performance. Punk is a theory and a lifestyle. Much like anti-fascism is a practice. It's a theory. It's a concept. It's a lifestyle. It's not a group of people who are highly trained and motivated to take down the government. It's a lifestyle.
Lilah, right?
Yes.
Do you have a message for people watching at home? You've got about 3,000 people watching, maybe more later. What's your message for people sitting at home trying to understand this?
Connect with your communities. I think, especially in the face of fascism, it can be really intimidating to go outside and protest. And there's a lot of debate about whether or not that is an effective way to protest at the point we're at. But I think organizing within your communities and trying to find connection with the people you're neighbors with, starting community gardens, making sure that you can protect your immigrant neighbors or just your neighbors who are brown and black. How are you going to be able to show up for them? How are you going to perform mutual aid? You don't have to be out protesting, but you do need to find ways that you can connect with your community and protect the people that you love. So reach out to the people around you and know how to contact them. Make sure they know how to contact you. Stay safe.
Really good stuff. Are you comfortable sharing any of your social media? You don't have to, no pressure.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay,
though.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Have a good night and stay safe.
Of course.